reason we balance our budget every year in Richmond is because the state constitution requires us to do so. You know, if we didn't have to do it, you know, I hate to say it, but there's enough tax and spend politicians down in Richmond that they wouldn't do it. We need to do the same thing in Washington. We need to have an amendment to the Constitution to require a balanced budget. I don't care how conservative state government is with its budget. I don't care how conservative a local government may be with its budget. If Washington keeps on its current path, it is going to destroy the value of the dollar, and that will drag down every budget, every state, every locality, and your own family budget. So this is a critical issue. We've got to stop spending our children's wealth and our grandchildren's wealth. And we need to start working for and electing people who know where wealth and prosperity come from. Wealth and prosperity do not come from the government. They come from the private sector. You know, when Ronald Reagan was elected president, he was facing an economic situation that in a lot of ways was worse than what happened, what the situation we were facing when the current administration took office. But Ronald Reagan knew how to fix things. He knew where wealth and prosperity came from the private sector. What he did was he cut taxes on the private sector. He cut regulation. He adopted policy to try to spur the private sector to create jobs and create wealth. This current administration is trying the same failed policies of Herbert Hoover and FDR. They're trying to spend their ways out of a bad economic situation, and they're going to have the same results. Most depressions and recessions only last a couple of years. The last one lasted for more than a decade, and the only thing that got us out of it was World War II because the government tried to help. The government thought that they could spend their way out of a recession. It failed then. It's failing now. We need to admit it. We need to stand up and say we've got to change course. So I would encourage you to get involved with your local political party. I don't care if you're a Republican, Democrat, Libertarian, whatever. Get involved with your local political party. You know, I know there's probably some Democrats here. Well, get involved with the local Democrat Party and tell them they need to start standing for fiscal responsibility. Fiscal responsibility should not be a partisan issue. People have got to understand you just can't spend money that you don't have. So get involved with your political party. Start supporting candidates who stand for the values that you stand for, and get out and work for them and help them, even if they're not in the area or not in the district. You know, unfortunately, it costs money to run campaigns. Now, you don't have to outspend your opponent, like Bob Marshall said. If you've got enough grassroots organization and grassroots volunteers, a lot of shoe leather can make up for a deficit in political money. I know my last contested race, I was outspent more than 2-1, but I still won by a healthy margin. That was because I had a lot of support from the grassroots. So we need to get active. We need to get out and support the candidates that stand for fiscal responsibility and stand for our values. And also, once they're elected, you need to stay involved. You need to monitor what they're doing. You need to talk to them, keep the lines of communication open to them. It's very easy. Once you get elected, you get surrounded by well-meaning bureaucrats. And you hear all these sob stories about how this program is going to help these poor children, and this program over here is going to help another group, and things like that. And it's just too easy when you're surrounded by that to start drifting off course. You need to be a counter to that. Too often, conservatives tend to think they've won the battle when they won the war when they've won an election. An election is just a battle. The war for our liberties, the war for our freedoms is a lifelong battle, and you've got to fight it every step of the way. You've got to stay involved. You've got to stay in contact with your elected officials. Let them know when they're not doing what you like, and keep those lines of communications open. But again, this is really encouraging, standing here and seeing all these people that showed up. I think, this gives me hope for the future. This right here is what gives me hope for this year's elections. We got to stop what's going on in Washington, and the first step to do that is this November's election. So everybody, don't get discouraged, don't be intimidated, don't care what the press and the media and the other side says about you. Stay focused and stay involved. Thank you very much.